Welcome back to Gaming News with Spoons. There isn't a whole lot of video game news to cover right now, but we do have some interesting things that have seemed to pop up. Before we get into today's big news articles, though, I first want to talk about a couple of fan translations that have become readily available. This is older news, but I definitely feel like it is still worth mentioning. So Ninokuni on the Nintendo DS has had an official fan translation. For those of you who have played Ninokuni, you will know that the game is kind of broken up into two scenarios. You have the chasing of the Dark Djinn, Shadar, and then you have the White Witch scenario, which was added to the PlayStation 3 version. Basically, the Nintendo DS version is pretty much just covering the events of Shadar. Kind of the same gameplay, same setup, but it does use the stylus, of course, to go through and allow you to do different things. So if you have a flash cart or you have the capability of getting that ROM and want to check that out, there is a fan translation available for that. The next fan translation that I want to talk about is Majin Tensei 2. Now, Majin Tensei is the sequel to Majin Tensei 2 is a sequel to Majin Tensei, which was part of the Megaton universe, the Megami Tensei universe. And these games are more set up as strategy games. I could kind of say they're more like the Devil Survivor games, but very simplistic in their design. They were back on the Super Nintendo, so they're not going to be necessarily graphically appeasing to the eyes. But if you were a fan of the Megami Tensei games and have always wanted to check these games out, that makes both of these games available to go through and get. Really leaving the only two other games that are worth bringing over at this point and doing a fan translation of is Devil Summoner, which was on the Saturn and also released on the PSP, as well as Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, the PSP version that they did of that. Those are the two that I would really like to see them bring over and localize for us over here in the West. That out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into what Atlus teased about Persona 5 R and what this is. It has been confirmed that it is for the PlayStation 4. Though people are saying that if it is a remaster of Persona 5, it's probably not coming to the Nintendo Switch, I wouldn't rule that out right away. There are times that a game has been specifically targeted for a specific platform and then later on has been re-announced down the road for different systems. It maybe could be something that they are planning on bringing over to the Switch. Maybe they're not, but it's just not something I want to rule out just yet. But things have been going around what this could potentially be. People teasing that it's Persona 5 Racing, which wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. Persona 5 Remaster. I personally think that this is a remaster. It's more than likely going to be called Persona 5 Ruby, kind of going with its red color. Definitely makes sense. So, could that potentially be what we're going to see? We're going to get more information on this on March 8th, so stay tuned because we will be covering whatever that is on the channel and talking about it. Next thing I wanted to bring up was The Witcher 3 potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch. 2015's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt definitely was one of the highlights of that year, and definitely one of the highlights of this generation. It's really the game that kind of propelled CD Projekt Red into the mainstream with their game, and the game was beloved by a lot of people. But could this potentially be coming to the Nintendo Switch? A game this massive coming to the Nintendo Switch. Would that at all be possible? I mean, we have seen the likes of games such as Wolfenstein and Doom make their way over. We've seen some other open world games that we didn't really think might necessarily be possible coming over, such as LA Noire being able to be put on a single cartridge. Some of these games, of course, do actually have the ability for you to go in and download the rest of them, essentially making the physical edition kind of worthless because it's not fully on the cartridge. The Witcher 3 is a massive game in scope, so it'd be interesting to see if this is actually true, and just if it is, how they would go about getting this on that system. But The Witcher, being an RPG, is a perfect game to have on the go, and I really feel like that going through with that kind of setup and going through and bringing that game over to the Nintendo Switch would be a perfect addition. Let's go ahead and get into our next news article today, and this is going to be about Destiny Connect. For those of you who remember, Destiny Connect is a game that is being worked on by Nippon-ichi Software. And what first that strikes me of this, it really does look a lot like a Saturday morning cartoon. Anime kind of style cartoon. I'm really curious to see more about this game, and I really do like that art style. But Nippon-ichi has officially updated the website for Destiny Connect with more information regarding Sherry's trips to the past, the people she meets there, and Issac's mecha abilities to change form. In order to return to Clockney in 2000, the former state, Sherry and Pegaro headed to the past using Issac's time travel function in order to find a solution. They end up in Clockney 30 years ago. The giant department store that's pride of the town, Save the Queen, is being plagued by rumors of ghosts appearing within. In order to find out the secrets of the department store, Sherry and Pegaro must end up working together with several kids they meet in the past. They sneak in after closing time and see several mech seemingly talking to each other. Who the heck are you guys? I've never seen you around these parts. A boy and Sherry and the others meet in Clockney's past. He's uncouth but strong sense of justice. His truth currently investigating the mystery surrounding Save the Queen. So the other characters are Dumpty, Arya, and let's go ahead and hop into Issac's change form here. Previously, we introduced how Issac can customize and install parts, installing gears at Backfur and collectibles. These gears are created using parts dropped by enemies, and are categorized into gold, silver, and bronze types. The better gear, the higher Issac's abilities get. Depending on the slots, the state will upgrade, more slots open up as Issac levels up. So there's his mech ability there. There are 6 forms changes that will unlock as you progress, which can change its look and stats significantly. The basic stat skills that can be learned are different between each form. Form changes don't use your turn, so feel free to use as many times as you want in battle. Changing out which form you to use will quickly be the key to winning battles. Each form has its own gear slots, as mentioned above, so perhaps one effective way could be using the Guardian form, Issac's basic form, and acts as a guardian to protect everyone, including a thick paint plating. However, it can't be evaded as can't evade attacks. It can use an Iron Wall skill to buff the party's defense and attack the Radiant Beam. AO attacks. Rescue form. The form of these kinds rescue unit members who focus on healing and removing from danger. This form is useful when you're in a pinch. In rescue form, Issac can use Medical Shower, a skill that heals everyone's HP, as well as a dangerous object removal, which attacks a single enemy and debuffs enemies' attacks. Destiny Connect will release for the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch in Japan on March 2019. There is no official confirmation that this is going to be coming over to the West, but this is a game that I hope does, because it does sound like a very promising game. It seems to be a very interesting setup. There's a lot of things that I like here, using the time travel to go back to the past to investigate certain things. The mech idea sounds like an interesting note in battle. Very curious to see how this game plays out. We will talk more about this as we find out more about Destiny Connect. And our last bit of news, guys, is we know Catherine is getting a port on the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 4 called Catherine Full Body. Now, Catherine Full Body is, of course, an enhanced remake with a new character, things like that. They've added some additional things, adding Joker from Persona into there, Persona 5 that you can play, and just kind of going from there. So let's take a look at this and just see. It says here, after what appeared to be a possible Catherine teaser on Steam through Bayonetta's Steam page, we got another piece of the puzzle as to the ESRB just updating their rating of Catherine with a PC version. Which is interesting, because this tells us that Catherine is more than likely coming to the PC, but it's not the full-body version. This is the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions that respectively launched back, I believe it was in 2012. Catherine is a really fun game to play, so if you guys have a Steam account and you want to see what it's about, definitely check that out. Though personally, I would hold out just to make sure that we don't get the full body version. With that being said, guys, that's going to conclude my gaming news for the week. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit subscribe there for me to keep up to date with all of my content. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are going to be down below in that description box. And most importantly, stay happy, be happy, game happy. Spoons is checking out.